everybody, it's Jason Shadwick with Premier Guitar, and we're at the Winter NAMM show in Anaheim. And we're at the Alexander booth with Matthew here. And Matthew, tell us what those wacky, crazy, colorful sounds were that you were making on the intro.
Colorful is right. This is our Color Theory Spectrum Sequencer pedal. It's an 8-step sequencer in a compact pedal with a bunch of effects built in. So what we were just hearing was the oscillator mode. So the pedal's actually generating its own sounds. It's literally self-oscillating, and we're controlling the pitch of the oscillation with the sequencer. So you're hearing this oscillator pitch. And we're controlling that pitch, those intervals, with the sequencer. So every time it steps to a new step, every time the LED color changes, we're on a new step, we're controlling a bunch of different parameters with the sequencer, and then there's other effects modes that we can engage as well. Yeah. So it's not just for bleep bloop noises, but it's a really convenient way to show the pedal without having to play the guitar.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear how the guitar kind of works with it too now.
Sure, absolutely. So this is part of our Neo series. So it has presets and MIDI and a bunch of other stuff. So I'll just load in the first factory preset, and I'm going to use my EBO here because this is really good with the sustained sound. And the Color Theory is doing all the rest of the work. It's doing a pitch shifting right now. So it's a rhythmic pitch shifting, and it goes up the scale and back down the scale in a similar way to the way, say, the arpeggiator on a Juno 60 would work, something like that. Yeah. All right, so we've got some other modes in here. The next preset is a modulated delay. So it's a short audio delay that we can control the time and the feedback with the sequencer. So all that pitch shifting and gliding is caused by rapidly moving the delay time. Yeah. Right. The next one's a filter. It's a resonant low-pass filter. So we're sequencing each step of that. So we can control how far the filter opens or closes and the resonance of the filter, the mix between the filter and the clean signal, yeah. And then the last preset on here was the oscillator, which everyone's probably tired of by now. So there's two other effects modes on here, and I'll just show you those briefly. The next one is the Tremolo. It's the bottom red. And in this mode, we actually have a sine or square wave tremolo. And so we can actually sequence that. We go to the next step. So we just changed all the steps, and now we step through them. Let me slow it down so we can hear it. So we can kind of rapid fire go through all those different tremolo rates. If you just want to have 2 steps, you just turn the steps knob down. So it's pretty cool. And the last mode is something that's pretty new for us. We've never done this in a pedal before. I had an idea for it a couple of years ago, and I really wasn't able to implement it the way I wanted. And now we have it, and it's actually working, and it's kind of scary how fun it is. It's this PWM mode, and so what we do with this is we convert the audio signal into a square wave, and then we change the ratio between the highs and lows in the square wave with this pulse width modulation.
Almost like a real synthy sound.
Real synthy sound. It's monophonic. if you play chords through it, it basically sounds like electric barf. But then we go to the next step, and then instead of what we had with this, we can go. Hang on. Oh, I had to do this upside down, sorry. Let me get some more steps here. We'll do 3 steps. All right, and now if we run that, so it's pretty fun. You can do some cool synth stuff with it. You can sequence those octaves so they actually change.
It's amazing how much you've packed into just a little box. Is that a real challenge just to get, I mean, what, 6 different modes here? Is that right?
Well, it's kind of like a little computer. So as long as there's room in the chip to store everything, you're generally okay. The bigger challenge was making it so that you could actually adjust everything that you need to adjust. That's, because there's 4 knobs and, 3 buttons and just a bunch of LEDs. So the real challenge is letting the user do what they want to do with it, rather than like, I can put more stuff in there, but it'll be impossible to mess with. It'll be impossible to change anything. Yeah, so, but...
and so what'll be the availability and price on this?
These will be available in February, and they're $199.99.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also I want to touch on one thing you were using at the very end was this, you guys have an iPad app that goes along with this, right?
Right, we use a third-party app called Touch OSC. It's available for iOS and Android. It's really cool. It's kind of like a create your own MIDI controller app, and we make templates for all the Neo Series pedals. So you can go on the website right now and download a template for the Syntaxer and the F13 and the Quadrant. But the one for the Color Theory has all of the controls exposed, so we can see what the Color Theory is actually doing right now. We can load in presets, and this is the sequence. So that's like, so that's what it's actually doing. And you can load presets, control all the global parameters. Yeah, it's bi-directional, yeah. So anything you do on the pedal goes back to the iPad. And it just uses the USB port that we normally use for firmware updates, yeah. And so, if you have an Android device, you just need a USB host adapter. And if you have an Apple device, you need their little camera connection dongle, yeah. So, and that's, for the real hardcore tweakers. We've done everything on the pedals during development with just the pedal, because we wanted to make sure that if you're not an iPad tweaker, that you can still get everything you need out of it. And, if you want to edit something on the pedal, you just hold down the tap button and put it in park mode, and now you're controlling. So you can see we're on this teal LED here, so we're on the 4th step. Actually, it's brown on here because there's no blue, there's only teal. There is no Dana, there's only Zool. But this, you can see this brown step, that's what's happening inside the pedal. Inside the pedal, we're editing this column of the sequence. And then now we go to the next step, and we're on this, the blue LED. We're editing the blue step, right. And you can do this on the iPad in a more visual way. Yep. But if you just think about this as being like a sequence of 8 presets in the pedal, you're just tweaking the knobs on the pedal. You can park the sequence, you tweak the knobs the way you want them, next step, tweak the knobs, next step, tweak the knobs. You get everything the way you want it, run the sequence, and if you like the way it sounds, you save it to a preset. And then the next time you need it, you literally just step on the foot switch, and now we're running this. Like, I don't know who would use that particular sound for that preset, but it's something.
They're out there. They're out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's something you can do if you want to. So it's a really deep pedal, but it's also pretty easy to use. So what we've been seeing throughout the show is people will come to these demo stations and they'll play with it for maybe a minute, and then we've got a presentation that's scrolling that says, hey, hold the button to park it. Hey, turn the knobs. And they watch that and they turn the knobs, and about 2 minutes later, they're over here jamming out. You can see them, you can watch them. So we are spying on you if you play on our stations. But you can watch them figure it out and get into it, and it's really cool. It's kind of like with the syntax error that we did last summer. As soon as you watch someone play it and get it, their whole demeanor changes, and now you're seeing the creative possibilities of this new thing. So it's a pretty cool pedal. The other thing that I wanted to touch on, and this is for our syntax error F13 Neo quadrant owners, our Alexander family. There's another parameter on the sequencer that we haven't talked about yet, and it's this external control. So the upper left knob or the bottom column is an external control parameter. So I'll show you just briefly how that works. When you're in the sequence and you're editing it and you're changing the steps, if you're hooked up to another Alexander pedal, when you're editing this step and you turn this knob, you can see the LED on the syntax error. It's responding to the MIDI message that's coming out of this. So this knob sends a message to the syntax error, or any of our pedals, or Jill Cordy's pedals, Chasel's pedals. The command is the same as is on the Strymon, the big box Strymon pedals. So you can control the expression control on your timeline with this. And so we can go into each step, and let me just set this for 4 steps, hang on. So we can go low, high, low, high, and now we can run the sequence, and you can see that every time the sequence steps, we're sweeping the expression pedal, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. Now this is going to sound horrible. I'm not even going to pretend. It's capable of being used for good as well as evil, just to show you. So not only can it sequence itself, it can sequence your other gear too. So it's like, this is all stuff that I wanted to do. I really wanted this pedal, so I built it. I hope you guys like it.
Isn't that why you have a pedal company, to build stuff you like?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
All right, man, so where can people go online to find out more information about everything you guys do at Alexander Pedals?
AlexanderPedals.com.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much, Matthew.
Thanks, Jason.
Jason Shatter with PremierGuitar.com.